Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the May meeting of the ASCE Dallas branch. My name is Nick Phillips and I have the honor of serving as the branch director here. First, I'd like to welcome our members and guests today. We really appreciate you all coming in and watching our presentation. And for some of those that have been watching, you might be wondering why I am here instead of our branch president, Jonathan Brower. This is because that he gets a month off from running our monthly board meeting and the luncheon because this month is Younger Members Month. Each year, ASCE Dallas sets aside the month of May as Younger Member Month with the goal of celebrating our branch's younger members and their successes while also challenging them with new duties and responsibilities that are typically handled by the president, president-elect, vice president, and other board members. And as the ASCE Dallas branch director, I will do my best as a fill-in for Jonathan, serving alongside our other younger member volunteers. And for those that don't know what a younger member is, the younger member designation is for any of our members in ASCE who are of 35 years of age or under. And I'm extremely proud of our YMs, and I'm extremely confident that they can handle any challenge they are thrown at them. We are excited about the younger members having their next online event being Thursday at 5:30 p.m. and it's going to be a Guess That Baby Picture contest. And if you want to find out more information, you can find that on the YM page of our branch website or on the YM newsletter that goes out each week. Please come out and join us. We'd appreciate it and we look forward to it.
Hello, this is Chad Ostrander. I am excited to announce the 2021 ASCE Dallas Scholarship Golf Tournament, sponsored by ADS. The tournament will be held Monday, October 4th at the Texas Rangers Golf Club, with a shotgun start at 8 a.m. Breakfast will be served during registration before the tournament, and an awards ceremony and lunch will be held following the completion of the tournament. All proceeds made during the tournament go towards the GB Man Scholarship Fund. If you would like to become a sponsor or enter a team for the tournament, registration is now live on the ASCE Dallas website. Click Read More under the Upcoming Events section. You can then add the event to your calendar and click Register Now to be taken to the registration page. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at the 2021 Scholarship Golf Tournament. As this year's fundraising chair, I am also excited to announce that we are now accepting meeting sponsorships for our in-person meetings, currently being planned to start later this year. If your company is interested in sponsoring a meeting, please contact me at fundraising@dallasasce.org or visit us online at dallasasce.org and navigate to become a sponsor. Thank you. And thank you to this month's sponsor, Michael Baker.
Hello, I'm Mike Stengel, Office Executive for Michael Baker International's Dallas office. I'll provide a brief overview of our firm as it relates to our Dallas office and then show a brief corporate video. Michael Baker is a transportation-focused firm and is currently ranked by NR Magazine in the top 25 for highways, bridges, airports, and mass transit and rail. Dallas is the largest of 4 Texas offices. Our Dallas office, like many of our other nearly 100 other offices across the country, does maintain this focus on transportation with TxDOT, DFW International Airport, and various North Texas area transportation agencies serving as some of our largest local clients. Primary services provided in the Dallas office include planning and design for highways and bridges, drainage, and traffic. We provide both routine and fracture-critical bridge inspection as well as construction services. Michael Baker is also ranked in the top 100 architecture firms, and I'm proud to share that our Dallas architectural team is growing rapidly to support a number of very active federal contracts and projects, as well as to serve a number of local clients like DART with their facility improvements. With that, I'll transition to a very nice video to demonstrate some of the ways that the Michael Baker firm and our employees are making a difference in our communities and in the world around us.
To make a difference. That's our calling at Michael Baker International. Our work is more than a highway overpass, an airport runway, or a bridge. It's more than a transit station or a water treatment plant. Our work connects people and drives our communities forward. Our work turns ideas into reality and transforms how we live. It all began as a spark, an idea. There's a better world out there and we will create it. Today, we are the designers, the planners, the engineers, the architects, and the innovators. Bold enough to dream the impossible, dedicated to making a difference. stronger together. We've built a legacy of excellence that's brought us to the forefront of our industry, and we're not stopping there. We are problem solvers, working globally to create a safer, more accessible, more sustainable tomorrow. We make a difference for our clients, our communities, and one another.
As a reminder, ASC Dallas branch virtual meetings will continue to be free to watch online via our YouTube channel. However, we are charging a $10 fee on the PDH certificates. The proceeds from these certificates will be split evenly between the ASC Dallas GB Man Scholarship and a rotating charity or nonprofit. This month, we will be working with the Austin Street Center and sharing our proceeds for the month of May with them. And if you guys are unfamiliar with the Austin Street Center, great folks over there make a large effort to provide safe shelter and basic needs to the most vulnerable homeless in our area. And furthermore, they strive to help members of our community regain their independence and find permanent places to call home. I just want to thank you all of our members for your generosity and support, and you can visit our branch website at www.dallasasce.org or click the link in the video description below to pay and obtain your PDH certificate. The PDH certificates will be available for purchase until the end of the month, and as a reminder, PDHs will not be sent out till the end of the month after we have tallied everyone that is registered for it. We will now be getting to the main meeting presentation. If you have any comments or questions during the presentation, you can type them into the chat to the right of the presentation board. And to introduce our main speaker, I will now pass it off to our ASCE Dallas Branch Programs Chair, Carlos Balderrama.
Howdy everyone, and welcome to our May 2021 branch meeting. For our keynote speaker this month, we have Sarah Standifer with the City of Dallas / Dallas Water Utilities. Sarah is the Assistant Director over Stormwater Operations with the City of Dallas. She leads the city's stormwater management program and is responsible for citywide flooding operations and maintenance to maintain compliance with U.S. Army Corps of Engineers regulations, FEMA's floodplain regulations, city ordinance, and compliance with the community rating system. She is responsible for leading a team of 200 employees to address planning and implementation of capital drainage projects, dam and levee programs, and the associated operation and emergency response for flood risk mitigation. She is serving on the Region 3 Trinity Flood Planning Group to develop the state of Texas's first flood planning efforts for regional planning, implementation, and response. Sarah began her career at the City of Dallas in 2002 as a contract compliance intern in business development and procurement services. Other notable positions for Sarah include serving as a director and assistant director in Trinity Watershed Management, manager of the city, state, and federal legislative programs, manager of the city's fund development initiatives, and project coordinator in the Parks and Recreation Department. She has a Master of Public Administration from the University of North Texas and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of Arkansas. I'll now pass it over to Sarah so she can give us an update on the Trinity River Corridor and flood risk management in general. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for having me here. I know that this is one of y'all's monthly meetings, and we really do appreciate any time that we get to come and talk with y'all a little bit about different programs and services that we offer at the city. So today I kind of wanted to talk with you all about the Dallas Water Utilities. It's our flood risk management overview that many of you have helped along the years bring forward. So we'll kind of go over a background and some concepts behind our One Water, our levee system and the floodway, our balanced vision plan, our partnership with the Corps and the supplemental funding and the program that associates with that, and then some questions and answers if y'all have any. So just as a background, Dallas Water Utilities was founded in 1881 as a supply company. It became in at 1876. It was acquired to ensure fire protection, and it was $65,000 at the time. It is funded from wholesale retail water and wastewater revenues and stormwater fees, so it does not receive any tax dollars. The combined operating budgets and capital budgets for the department is $1.1 billion, and there's approximately 1,650 employees. So we have a long history of looking ahead to meet the needs of our customers, and in 2000 we had record demands. We changed from the concept of selling water to providing water and wastewater services with a seriously revamped water conservation program. It took a deliberate approach to extend our supply and deliver supply in a more efficient manner. So we have a fundamental of One Water. Several years ago and throughout the last decade, we've talked about how we can look at water, wastewater, and stormwater as one consolidated program. And at the city, we joined all of the programs together in the fall of 2018. And what that does is gives us some environmental stewardship. We can provide healthier watersheds and more resilience when it comes to climate change. We can provide some social equity through affordable projects. And we provide multiple benefits to all of our customers by having that joint approach. The economic prosperity really does look at the overall diversity and the stability of the water supply, our treatment, and our drainage programs, and it increases the efficiencies within our utility and our operations as a whole. So a little bit about each of the programs. In total, our water and wastewater assets are around $6 billion. We treat over 2.5 million customers. We have 300,000 retail wastewater and stormwater accounts. And the system itself is big. It's not just the city. We are far more than a city utility. We are a regional provider of water, wastewater, and stormwater services. In the overall budget of the city, we represent about a third of the budget, and those are dedicated fees. They come in, the water wastewater is one utility and the stormwater is a separate utility. So as you can see, we've got about $700 million in operations for water wastewater, $66 million for stormwater. Our capital program within the water wastewater side of the house is about $350 million, and our storm drainage dedicated, not part of the overall bond program, ends up being about $14.7 million. So that gives you your breakdown, a little over $1 million in operating and almost $100 million in, or $80 million in our program within stormwater. So it brings you up to that total of $1.1 billion. It's important for us to always kind of look at our water supply. The other thing in looking at the regional water supply that sort of brings to light is that partnership and joint nature of our local, regional, state, and federal partnerships. Many of our water supplies overlap with agencies, and it also overlaps with our flood risk management activities. So one of the things that all of you in this room have helped us with along the years is the notion of the Trinity River Corridor. And what that means to each one of us and each one of you may be different depending on what your priorities are. It stretches all the way from sort of Royal Lane in the north. It ends at I-20 in the south. There was a branding effort many years ago to talk about a Trinity Fields concept, a lake concept, and a forest concept. It is how people associated with the river and the current and future state of the river. So throughout the years, the Trinity has sort of been a big piece of Dallas's history. It had its first levee system built in the 30s as a result of some of the flooding that had occurred. Our system itself has partnered with the Corps beginning in 1945, and that was sort of the official entry into the federal program. Our floodway extension entered into that federal program in 1965. At the time, all of these programs were under what was known as the Dallas County Flood Control District. That was a state taxing entity, and it's sunsetted and transferred all of those responsibilities to the city in 1968, and the city of Irving received a small portion of their levy at the same time. So when we talk about our partnership with the Corps in the 50s, what they did is really strengthen those levees. It was the first of the big projects during that time period. Picture on the bottom right corner is the 1989 flooding, and one of the things we like to remind people is that the floodway is large. The levees provide over $14.5 billion worth of protection to personal and real property. And so depending on where you are in the system, it's been a very resilient system. So we maintain those floodways, and the most recent upgrade really began with the Corps in 1996 through an environmental process. At the same time, we embarked on a citizen task force to do more with the flood risk management. People began to discuss in a more robust manner, what could the floodway be used for? Could we use it for more than just drainage purposes? And that is sort of what resulted in the 1998 bond proposition that combined our flood risk management, our ecosystem restoration, transportation components, recreation components, and if we did it all right, it would end up in some economic benefits to those around the levees and throughout the city. So the 90 flood event, this picture represents sort of the transition between what is known as the Dallas Floodway into the Dallas Floodway extension. As you can see, you go from a levied system to a non-levied system, and the floodway itself is the Great Trinity Forest when you get to the Dallas Floodway extension. So the Dallas Floodway extension environmental approvals came before the Dallas Floodway. It was first approved in '99, and there was a supplemental released in 2001. At the same time, we were working on the floodway environmental documents, and the balanced vision plan moved forward as a revisiting and a revisioning of those efforts from the late 90s. This was approved by the council in 2003, and it's been amended in 2004 and then again in 2017. So 2003, 2006, and 2012 bond programs funded various components of the Balanced Vision Plan, with each of them having sort of a dedicated approach. The Floodway project received its environmental clearance in 2015, and then in 2017, the Trinity River Local Government Corporation was established by the council, and that was a group that would be able to address recreation that was included in the Balanced Vision Plan along the Elm and West Forks through the main stem of the Trinity, ending at the former ATSF bridge. Doing that really allowed the city and the Corps to put all of their efforts and focus towards our flood risk management, which is the priority and the first use of that floodway. The Bipartisan Budget Act of 2018 funded all of the flood risk management for the system as a whole. So projects like the Cadillac and Lamar levees that had been waiting since the 60s from those communities, pump stations along the floodway and levee raises were funded, and we really embarked on that project. So today, the slide that you see is the levee system. You see the east and the west levees, you see the central wastewater treatment plant levee, and the Rochester levee. We own all of these lands. The Corps regulates us to ensure that the primary purpose remains flood risk management. We have certain features that are both levee and pump station related and ecological features that are hydraulic in nature that we have to maintain. We have to do minor and major improvements to all of our features, and we are inspected annually and periodically by the Corps. The city has O&M manuals for each of these features. They are reviewed by the Corps and they are updated as needed, and that is really what was the basis for our inspection. So we have levees, sumps, rivers, and pump stations that are all part of that inspection program, as well as the chain of wetlands that are located along the Dallas Floodway extension area. In order to maintain our eligibility in Public Law 8499, it's really critical that we do these tasks. That public law will provide us emergency flood fighting assistance and rebuilding efforts should there be a publicly declared disaster. It also allows us to have the Corps come in and help us during those times of heavy rains and disasters should we need additional help. And anything that we do has to be met so that we don't negatively impact both our Corps and our FEMA regulations. So a little more history on the Dallas Floodway. It is that west and Elm Fork through the confluence of the Trinity River, and we used to say to the ATSF bridge near the Dart line at 8th Street and Riverfront. That ATSF bridge is no longer there, and so we'll over time learn some new transition because the next generation is not going to know that there was an ATSF bridge there. The floodway extension geographic boundary starts at that line around 8th Street, and it heads down to I-20 and Dowdy Ferry. And that system is what most people associate as the Great Trinity Forest. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Bipartisan Budget Bill of 2018 and those supplemental projects, because those are opportunities for all of us to complete decades of desires and dreams to bring forward the latest and greatest flood risk management. So these funds came up after a series of disaster declarations. Congress realized that, we weren't fully funding flood risk management projects, and if they did that, it could be implemented on an expedited schedule. So both our Dallas Floodway and Dallas Floodway Extension projects met the criteria that was set and received about $223 million in federal and local funding for the Dallas Floodway design and construction, and the city puts in another $38 million for a local betterment, which is the levee flattening, and then $135 million in federal funding for the Dallas Floodway Extension design and construction. We're required as the city to perform and cost participate in the Dallas Floodway at a 65% federal and 35% local share. The Dallas Floodway extension is 100% federal cost. We are, however, required to obtain the fee simple land acquisitions. Subject to reimbursement, we also have easement and utility relocations, and all land has to be cleaned before it's transferred to the Corps for those construction activities. As we've moved forward in this project delivery, the City and the Corps partner to review all design and construction activities and really work in tandem and work together to review submittals that you all in the community may be submitting as part of contracts, and also to have some larger conversations. So the Dallas Floodway Supplemental, that one is really your levee raises, your pump stations, and some demolition and some sump work. As you can see on the map, that kind of reminds you what the Dallas Floodway looks like. So the levee raise and side slope flattening, that is actually out on the street for a solicitation under one of the Galveston May talks. We anticipate that to occur with a solicitation award later this year, and you'll really begin to see middle to the end of next year some real dirt moving. It'll be the first time I think Dallasites will see that there is mass dirt movement and the opportunity to raise those levees and really get that area buffered. The Trinity Portland Pump Station is a new pump station located off of Mexicana. It has concrete volute pumps. It's got the low flows. It is a design build RFP. It is substantially complete. The solicitation is currently scheduled for March 2022, but it may be moved earlier in the schedule if the real estate can be acquired. This pump station is one that is absolutely critical to the overall system and supports neighborhoods that we have done voluntary evacuations in as recently as 2015. The Delta Pump Station is a pump station that exists today. This project is really a rehabilitation. We're going to end up with some tilt walls, some replacement pumps, upgraded electrical, HVAC, and trash racks, and some access roads. That is also a design build, and that RFP is substantially complete. There is an opportunity to expedite this schedule, and so the current schedule is really on a to be determined as we work through a couple of other issues, but it will slide much sooner than any schedule that y'all may have seen anywhere else. The Charlie Pump Station is also a new pump station. It is located near Jefferson, just south of the current station. It will demolish the existing pump station after completion of construction. So that again includes our concrete volute pumps, low flows, and that RFP is also substantially complete. We anticipate that solicitation in the spring of 2022. The Hampton Pump Station is a new pump station and a renovation to an existing station that would include electrical upgrades and then demolishing one of the older stations. The new station includes concrete volute pumps. That design is underway as a traditional design bid build, and the construction solicitation is anticipated around the spring or summer of 2023. Noble's Branch Sump is that sump that you notice running through the design district, and that is adding pipe culverts and sluice gates, extending those and replacing head walls, realigning some reinforced concrete pipes, and that design is also underway. We anticipate construction solicitation somewhere in the order of fall of 2021 to winter of 2022. As mentioned earlier, the ATSF bridge has been demolished. That was the first of those supplemental projects out the gate and is really a milestone marker for both the Corps of Engineers and the city. This was one of the first projects within the supplemental across the country to have been designed, constructed, and completed. The Dallas Floodway Extension Supplemental Project is one that most people really never saw coming. People have waited since 1965, and environmental approvals have been on the table since 99 to get these levees. The Lamar levee and Cadillac Heights levee protect two distinct and important neighborhoods, and the chain of wetlands had to be completed in advance of those two. So this is something that when we go out to the community today, they look at us and they kind of say, are you really going to do it? And so this is exciting that it's going to be delivered and change a lot of the dynamics within those neighborhoods. The Lamar levee is going to be approximately 3 miles. It's an earthen levee. It has flood walls and floodgates as it traverses through different infrastructure such as railroads and bridge crossings of major highways. It's going to address drainage sumps, and it's also going to deal with some other levee crossings. We anticipate that design award this summer, and then depending upon real estate, the design and construction could wrap up and begin as early as 2 years from now. The Cadillac Heights levee is about 2.25 mile earthen levee. It also has flood walls and flood gates because it has to pass a lot of those same railroad crossings and bridge crossings. So there are at least 3 of the railroad crossings and 5 major street crossings. That current status, we are working on right-of-way and right-of-entries and acquisitions, and there is a design solicitation that is pending the completion of some of those activities. This is a schedule that both the Corps and the city are sharing publicly. It is updated from time to time. It gives you an idea of how they anticipate things moving. And as I like to say, by the end of 2027, all of the improvements along the Trinity that were related to our flood risk management should be complete. All of our FEMA remapping for any areas that need to be remapped should likely be done at that point because it will have run through those processes as they close out the projects. I like to always remind you that there are business opportunities at the City of Dallas where you can find all of our design solicitations and construction opportunities. The Corps' website, you've got that listed there. They are in the process of doing a Fort Worth Civil Works call for project companies and RFPs, and so I would be on the lookout for that if I were y'all as well. At this time, if you have questions, I can take any of your questions. Otherwise, we really do appreciate the opportunity to speak with y'all, and we also appreciate all of the hard work you do to ensure that public health and safety is met for private and public entities and all of us as we live and work in different cities across the state. Thank you.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much. This is Nancy Klein for speaking to ASCE today. I was curious if there was right-of-way acquired for the Cadillac Heights project, and if it's all been acquired, or what the approach is to be able to build the levees there.
So the right-of-way for both Cadillac Heights and the Lamar levees are underway. We're working with property owners to complete survey work, to have the appraisals complete, and then to negotiate. We hope that most all of those transactions will be amicable. However, it may not occur, and so that may contribute to the schedules. The way that the Corps has decided to approach these, if we can get enough right of entries to substantially kind of complete that so that you as design professionals can actually come in and get soil sampling and different things you need to do, then they can go ahead and proceed with those design solicitations. So we're well on our way with Cadillac Heights for right of entry. We've got a lot more acquisition to go, but I think that's part of when you'll see those solicitations for design activities on Cadillac hit the street.
So this is Nancy. I have another question. So do you expect that the Able pump station, which we're going to be learning about through ASCE, a technical session, do you think the other pump station upgrades that you discussed are going to be similarly huge, or will they be of a smaller size?
So Able's our largest pump station. The other pump stations that are included in this will have the same components, the concrete volute pumps, which is now our standard across the system for any new builds. They will be, I like to tell people, if you've been and seen any of our pump stations, the Baker pump station located on Irving Boulevard is probably about the footprint size that you will see for most of these stations.
So Sarah, with One Water and Dallas Water Utilities, are you all depending on bond money or stormwater fees that are coming in? How is your program supported?
So that's a really good question. The stormwater program throughout the city is funded through 2 different sources. Our operating and a small pay-as-you-go capital program is funded through a fee that you'll see on your water bill. Our fee is based on your impervious calculation. So the residential properties are tiered and our commercials are per 1,000 square feet of impervious on the ground. And so our day-to-day operations come from that fee. Like I said, a small portion of our capital program for pay-as-you-go comes from the fee, and the majority of the remaining capital funds historically have come from a general obligation bond program in which our residents come out and support through their voting efforts. As we move forward, one of the things that we are looking across both in our city and across the country is how to better fund stormwater needed improvements, because those improvements are out there, and I anticipate a conversation over the next year to 2 years about transitioning from traditional bond programs to revenue bond programs. In doing that, we could actually expedite the schedule of needed improvements across the system.
Great, thank you. Well, Sarah, we appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to us, and it's always good to hear from you all, and we hope that in the very near future we can have you back for an in-person meeting.
We would love to see y'all in person. You all stay safe, and again, thank you for what y'all do.
Sarah, I want to thank you for being willing to speak to us today. We always appreciate you taking the time to share with us your experiences and impart your wisdom onto each of us in the Dallas ASCE branch. And for those of our members, if you have any additional questions you would like to ask Sarah, please put those in the comment section below, and those will be collected and emailed to our speaker. And remember, if you would like a PDH for today's presentation, please visit www.dallasasce.org or click the link in the video description below. This link will remain active until the end of the month, and the PDH certificates will be emailed out to the email address that you registered for the meeting with during the last week of the month of May. The general branch meeting is also accompanied by an Institute technical session, being the Transportation and Development Institute, who will be having speakers from TxDOT and CDM discussing complete streets at varying scales. This presentation is available on our Dallas branch YouTube channel and qualifies for 1 PDH. Now, next month's meeting is scheduled for June 7th and will be a virtual meeting that will be broadcasted via our ASCE Dallas branch YouTube channel. I will let you all know that we have received additional guidance from our ASC headquarters in regards to in-person meetings in the midst of COVID-19. Based on the guidance, we will still be not holding any in-person events until after June 30th. I can promise you that our branch leadership will continue to work hard on alternative programming, resources, and benefits for each of you, our members. We are working very hard to establish a plan for just how to return to in-person formats for our meetings, because we miss those beautiful faces and we cannot wait to see you all again. So with that, we appreciate you all attending our virtual Dallas branch meeting, and I hope that each of you has a great week. I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.